As I was preparing for this week's episode, I was wondering what I should really talk about. And so I just went to ChatGPT and I asked Chat, I said, what is the biggest question or the most often asked question around seniors and longevity and those sorts of things? And it came back and it said retirement planning. And that surprised me just a little bit. And so I went a little deeper, and the truth is, that's what people are asking. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how do I plan for retirement and what does retirement really involve? Because sometimes it's not all about the money. That's today on this episode of Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60. I'm your host, Robin McCoy. In today's world, older adults face major transitions like downsizing, relocating, or modifying their homes to age in place, all while embracing life after these changes. As a senior home advisor and seasoned realtor, Robin McCoy guides these decisions with care and thoughtful planning, helping create a vibrant future. Welcome to Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60 with me, your host, Robin McCoy. When people go to Google and ask, how do I plan for retirement? I think what they're really asking is, am I going to be okay? Am I missing something? Am I too late? Or what happens if I don't get this right? Because retirement is not just about the money. It's about control. It is about clarity. It is about independence. And ultimately, I think it is about peace of mind. Now, before we go any further, I do want to stress I am not an attorney. I am not a financial expert, a financial advisor, or an estate planning expert. I am none of those things. What I am is someone who works with adults every single day that are 60 and over, who are just trying to figure it all out and understand what comes next. I see what works. I've seen things when they've fallen apart, or things that were not planned maybe as efficiently or as well as they could have been. And I see what happens when people do intentionally plan versus when life forces some decisions on them. So this conversation that I want to have today is really about planning your life, not picking which investments or drafting which legal documents, if that makes sense. So I think a lot of times we think about retirement and it's, what is my money going to look like? Am I going to have enough money to live? And sometimes I think we forget to think about what our actual life might look like in retirement, because it doesn't start with paperwork. It really just starts with honest questions to yourself, to your partner, and to your family. So that is what we're going to talk about today. First off, I think it's not an age, right? Retirement is not an age. It's really a transition. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make is thinking it is a number. Is it 65? Is it 66? Is it 67? And I think that's because we hear, Social Security starts at this time and it's your retirement age. And so we feel like we have to draw this line in the sand that says, this is when I'm going to retire. And then we start looking as that date gets up closer and closer. We go, I'm not going to have enough money to retire at that age. I don't have enough money saved. I'm going to have to work until I'm dead. And we start asking ourselves these questions. So it does not begin with your birthday. It really begins when your life structure changes, right? For some people, that's when you stop working entirely, right? You retire, you leave your job, your career, your position, you sell your company, whatever that looks like, and you retire completely. For others, maybe they reduce hours. Maybe they just change careers. They retire from the military. They retire from a CEO position. They retire from whatever that job or career was, and they do something else. Or maybe they retire and have to stop working because of health issues. They're caregiving, maybe a spouse or an aging parent, so they become a caregiver in that regard. Or they are just burned out and they are done. So it's just really your stage, not age, right? And many retirements are unplanned. Okay, many are unplanned. It becomes a health issue, maybe a spouse's or partner's illness, maybe a layoff, Maybe it's a parent who suddenly needs help, or a job that just ended sooner than you anticipated. So the real question is not when will I retire, but that real question becomes what happens if I have to make a change sooner than I planned. And this is where the planning is going to come in. So we're going to start with some layers of retirement planning. When most people think about retirement planning, they're thinking about money only. They're just thinking about the money. And while money is important, in real life, we've got 3 layers. We've got lifestyle. How do you want to live? You've got housing. Where do you want to live? And you have support systems. Who's going to help me or support me in this life? And money touches all of them. Of course, money has something to do with all of it, but it is not the whole story. It's just not. So we're going to walk through each one of them. First of all, lifestyle. How do you actually want to live? And this is a part almost no one spends enough time on. Ask yourself, what do my days look like? Do I want structure or do I want flexibility? Do I want quiet and peace or do I want activity? Do I want to travel or do I just want to stay rooted where I am? Do I want to work part-time, volunteer, or completely stop? Because retirement is not just not working. It's waking up on a Tuesday with no schedule and realizing you need purpose, you need connection, and you need rhythm. I've seen people retire with plenty of money and no plan for their time, and they are miserable. Now what do I do? Now what do I do? And I've seen people with modest resources thrive because they knew exactly how they wanted to live. So lifestyle planning is emotional, it's personal, and it deserves time. It deserves time to think about. So questions, again, to ask yourself, where do I want to live? What does it look like? Do I want to live near a golf course, near the beach, near my kids? Do I want to just be more solitary? Or do I need that connection of friends and family and activities? So this is a personal thing that you need to start asking questions about now. Okay, so let's talk housing. You know, this is my wheelhouse, especially. So I spend a lot of time with clients on this. The question is not how much is my house worth? Well, that's the money, and that's what money touches everything. The question is, does my current home and the house I live in still fit my life? Or is it going to fit the life that we just talked about before? And does it fit that lifestyle that you want to have? So ask yourself, can I safely live here if my mobility changes? If I can no longer walk upstairs, if I can no longer walk without a cane or a walker, if I can no longer pick my legs up and step over the side of the tub, if I can no longer bend over to the sink or bend over into the dishwasher, can I safely live here if my mobility should change? Do stairs, maintenance, and isolation worry me? Am I away from all of my friends and family? Do I know any of my neighbors that might know if I came up missing? Do I have a core group of friends at church or a book club or at pickleball or any of those kinds of things that if I didn't show up, would somebody come looking for me? Okay. Am I using most of the house or am I avoiding parts of the house? Are there areas I don't go to because I'm afraid I'm going to fall down the stairs? That it's just so overwhelming that I just don't use a part of my house? And what does it cost me emotionally and financially to stay here? A lot of people feel committed to the house that they've been in for 40 years for a number of reasons. And I've done many episodes on why people stay connected to things and houses and that sort of stuff. So emotionally, there's a connection, but let's talk about financially as well. Well, it's paid off. Well, sure, but you're still paying taxes, and those go by the value of your house, right? That's a percentage of the value of your house, and that value of houses right now is for sure going up. Carrying costs, your taxes, your insurance. Insurance is a big is a big cost factor? Your utilities. If you live in Texas in the summer and you've got a big house and it's an older house, is it as energy efficient as it could be or should be? So now what is that electrical bill that you're cooling the house just to keep that house cool? So one thing is to think about, what is it costing me emotionally and financially to stay here? So I want you to understand, downsizing is not a failure. It is not a failure. It is not giving up, because staying put is not always the best option for you. For many people it is. Maybe it is for an X period of time. Maybe today you are 64. You're like me, 62. My husband is 3 years younger than me. I guess he'll be 60 this year. We're thinking about, do we want to stay where we are, or do we want to move somewhere else? Does this house make sense for us in the long term? Maybe, maybe not. It's a smaller house. It's not even 2,000 square feet. It is 2 stories, but the primary bedroom is downstairs. So, it's a zero entry when you come in. So, there's some aspects about it that are just fine, that we could age in place for a number of years there. But we're thinking about it, right? We're making some plans. So moving does not automatically mean senior living. You don't have to go from your house to Sunny Acres, okay? There are many steps in between should you choose to make those, right? It could mean a single-story home. It could mean new construction with just less maintenance. It's a smaller home, it's 1 story, but it's new. So all the parts aren't as worn out and weary. Maybe it's a condo or townhome, a lock and leave kind of lifestyle so that you can travel as much as you want. Maybe it's just moving closer to family so that you have that support staff around you that is not so far away. And like I said, maybe it's a lock and leave lifestyle because you want to be able to lock it up and go on a cruise for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or you want to go visit the kids for 3 weeks, or you want to go on a hike across Spain, or whatever it is you want to do, but you want to be able to have a home base and a place. So housing is one of the biggest levers that you have in retirement planning, but it only works when it's intentional. It only works when it's intentional. And there are a variety of ways to make your home the place to stay, if that's what you choose for it to be, and still be able to have that life that you want. Let's talk about support systems. Who is in your corner? Okay? This is the layer people ignore until it's a crisis. It is said that isolation with seniors is one of the leading causes of health decline and cognitive decline. Let me say that again. Isolation is one of the leading causes of physical and cognitive decline in seniors. So think about this for yourself, okay? Who's going to help you if you get sick? Who knows what you want and what your wishes are should you not be able to articulate those things yourself? Who's going to check in on you, even if it's just a phone call, a stop by, take you to lunch, those sorts of things? While you may be 65 and not worrying about that right now, what if when you're 85? Are those people still going to be around? Who helps you make decisions when emotions are running high? Okay, maybe there's a health crisis. Maybe there's a fall. Maybe something happens and now we move into a crisis mode. Who do you have that can help you make decisions when we're in this mode? Because that is the most difficult time to make very important decisions, is in urgency and in crisis. And I've talked about my situation with my mom on this show numerous times, and we didn't make decisions and we didn't really make plans, and then we got into urgency. We got into urgency and crisis mode, and it was difficult to make decisions. There was heated discussions, and it cost us more money. We Are One Heart is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to bridging the gap between the needs and resources of low-income seniors and veterans. Rooted in compassion and love, our mission is to provide housing, living assistance, and access to critical resources that ensure dignity and support for the elderly in underserved communities. At the heart of We Are One Heart's work is the belief that every individual shares a common humanity, a heart connected through love and care. We are committed to creating a future that honors those who have shaped the past by offering programs and services that enhance their quality of life. For more information or to donate, visit wa1h.org. That's wa1h.org. So planning these things in advance and making sure you have that support system around you who knows your wishes, knows where everything is, knows what needs to come next is very important. Now, this could be family. It could be friends, neighbors. It could be your faith community. It could be professional advisors, an elder attorney, an estate attorney. It can be other local resources that you may have in your community. Reaching out to the senior community centers in your neighborhood or in your town. There's the Department of Aging. Every county has one, and they will be able to assist in resources for you should you need those. Retirement planning is not about independence at all costs. I'm going to stay, I'm independent no matter what. But it is about interdependence with intention. Having support around you doesn't mean you're just foregoing all of your independence. But it's some interdependency, and it's intentional. And these people around you know that they are there for you, and you're there for them, right? Maybe it's some friends, and you keep an eye on each other, and maybe one can still drive and one can't, or whatever that looks like. But having some community around you. An elder attorney, should you not have family, friends, those sorts of people that you trust or that you want to put this responsibility on, maybe you don't have that. And elder attorneys come in to be your power of attorney, to be your voice, should you not be able to have that voice. You don't need everyone, but you do need the right people. One of the things that, and I know I heard it in my own family, I'll just deal with it later. Well, later comes sooner than you think it's going to. So let me be direct. The most expensive, stressful, and emotional retirements I see are not caused by a lack of money. They are caused by a lack of planning. I'll deal with that later. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but we're fine for now. I'm going to reference again my mom, right? She didn't have a will for a long time because she didn't own a house. And she said, it's going to you girls anyway, not understanding that the state of Texas, and I'm sure the state of everywhere else, has a plan for your stuff and your money and your things if you don't have a will at a minimum. And I'm going to link one of my past podcasts with estate attorney Lori Birch on here so that you can listen to some of that because it's very, very important. And we sat her down, got a will just so that we still have to go through probate in the state of Texas. You have to probate the will, but it goes faster and it's less expensive. So having those kinds of plans. And then now we had all of that in place when mom's health started to go downhill and when her mobility and when decisions had to be made quickly. And we had the POAs. I was able to sign on her behalf. We have all that information. So it just made it easier. Now, we're fine for now. You are until you're not. We'll deal with that later. Well, later arrives as a fall, a diagnosis, a spouse passing away, a sudden move for whatever reason that might be, and adult children are scrambling, right? So planning ahead does not mean that something bad is coming. It really means you're protecting your choices. A lot of people say, well, if I talk about my funeral arrangements, that just sounds like I want to die. Well, no, it just means that your wishes will be held in account should something happen. Here's the part that people don't want to hear. Urgency removes options. That's it. Urgency removes options. When decisions are rushed, you lose your leverage, You lose your clarity, and you lose your peace of mind. And you're probably going to lose some money. Planning gives you time. Planning gives you, and time gives you the options, and options give you control. And that, I think, is what most people want. I think that's what most people are looking for, is control over their lives as they age. And that comes with planning up front. Okay? So, what retirement planning is not. Let's clear up some myths. Retirement planning is not just a financial plan. It is not just an estate plan. It is not just a will. And it is not just a budget. These things matter and they're tools, but that's not the plan. Okay? Retirement planning is also not a one-time event. It's ongoing. It's not a binder that just sits on the shelf. And it's not something you only do one time. Because your life is going to change. Your health may change. Your priorities can change. And a good plan is going to evolve with you. Right? It's a binder. Your plan's in a binder. But now it's on the shelf. But you can pull it down and say, oh, you know what? We need to update some of these things. Heard a story this morning on my mastermind call. Family is selling mom's house. She's moving into assisted living. She had the wills and the POAs. Apparently, and I did not know this, the POA was so old that the estate planner, the financial planner, could not give them access to the funds they need to help this process go through. So I didn't know a POA had a time limit and that you needed to update those. I do know that a POA dies when the person dies. So you need to update these and look at them periodically and make sure, one, that you have a succession. So if choice number one for POA or executor of your will is no longer living or your relationship has changed, succession just means if they don't want to do it or they're no longer capable of doing it, then it goes to the next person. So you want to make sure you have a succession. And you just want to make sure all those people are still viable, alive, and willing to do what you asked them to do 40 years ago. Okay? Because life will change, health may change, and your priorities will change. And so a good plan, like I said, is going to evolve with you. So here are some conversations you need to have. Again, with yourself. What do I want my life to feel like? What am I afraid of? What are my fears around this? What am I avoiding? What am I avoiding thinking about and having a conscious thought process about? And what would make things easier 5 years from now? What would it look like for 5 years from now, from whatever stage you're in right now, 5 years from now, what would make things easier? Is it more money? Is it a different house? Would my house be better? Is it, I don't want to live where it snows anymore? Maybe you're up north and you're suffering right now. It is time of this recording is the 1st of February, and we've had some pretty wicked storms run through, even down here in Dallas and all the way up north, and it's very cold. So maybe you're thinking, in 5 years, I don't want to live in sub-zero temperatures anymore. The next is you need to have conversations with your family, and these can be difficult. What do I want you to know? What do I want my family to know? What do I not want? I don't want to live here. I don't want to do this. Maybe it's I don't want to live with you. I love you. I don't want to live with you. Or it's a variety of things, right? Who's going to make decisions if I'm unable to? Who is going to make those decisions on my behalf if I am unable to? And what support is realistic and what is not? These conversations will help prevent resentment, guilt, and confusion. Hopefully, it will eliminate fighting or disagreements later when decisions need to be made. And then you need to have a conversation with your trusted professionals, attorneys, financial advisors, estate planners. These folks, this is when they come in. My role and the role of people like me as a senior home coach and realtor help you to know what questions to ask and when to ask them and to whom to ask them. You don't need all the answers at one time, but you need a starting point, and you need to open the lines of communication because, again, things change, right? So if you sit down today with yourself and you say, self, this is what I want my life to look like in 10 years. And you make that, and maybe you even write it down. And you talk to the family and you say, kids, spouse, this is what I want my life to look like in 10 years. This is my hope. This is my plan. And I also know that sometimes things change. So I'm going to put some things in order. Make sure that will is up to date, like I said, or a trust. Make sure you have all the powers of attorney that you need, because we never know. And this isn't an age thing. This is a human thing. We never know when our life is going to change to where we can no longer make decisions for ourselves. So there's a simple way to start planning today, and it feels overwhelming. Again, guess what? Spoiler alert. You don't need a master plan today. You just need to get started. So here we go. Let's write down your top 3 priorities for the next 5 years. Identify one thing in your life that feels heavier than it should. What feels heavier right now than it should? Ask yourself, if I did nothing, what would this look like in 5 years? And pick one small action to reduce your future stress. Okay? That might look like touring different housing options. At this point, you don't have to tell anybody you're doing it, right? So maybe you go look at 3 or 4 places just to get an idea of what the environments are like, whether it's an independent living apartments. Maybe it is assisted living. Maybe it is an active adult neighborhood. So maybe it's just touring a few, just so that you know. Maybe it's decluttering one room. Maybe it's updating all your emergency contacts, making sure everybody has the right numbers and email addresses. Having one honest conversation with someone close to you. An honest conversation with yourself, with your spouse, with your children. And getting educated, not committed, just educated to what are the options out there, what feels good to you, what does not feel good to you. Because I'll tell you, progress over perfection every single time. Every single time. So as we wrap this up, retirement is not the end of something. It's just a transition into a whole new season. It's just a transition. And we plan, we get married. We plan for our wedding. We plan for having children. We plan for colleges, and we plan for our careers, and we plan all these things, but then we don't plan what happens after we're 60, 65, 70. We just don't plan. And the people who thrive are not necessarily the ones who figured everything out. They're the ones who are willing to plan before they were forced to. Now, if you're listening and thinking, I know I need to deal with this, I just don't know where to start, know that you are not alone. Helping people figure out that starting point is just what I do. I work with adults over 60 and their families to create a clearer path forward, especially when it comes to housing decisions and life transitions. If you want support, resources, or just clearer conversation, you can find me at relaxigotthis.com. And remember, planning gives you options, and waiting is going to remove them. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60. I'm Robin McCoy, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me on Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60. I know that time is our greatest asset, and I appreciate the time that you spend with me. If you're finding the information on this podcast useful, please subscribe to the channel on your favorite platform so that you never miss another episode. Don't forget to go to our website where you will find additional resources, downloads, and coaching programs. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60.